Howdy folks, thanks for joining me in the brewery. We're at the bar. That means it's Brewery of the Month time. Hang on. Forgot me freshly updated and rechecked box of Patreon names for the Patreon draw that we'll be doing shortly. But yeah, here we are. We're talking breweries of the month for January. And given the Little John's been on holidays and a few other things, it's been quite a big month. So I've got a fair chunk of stuff to get through here. So I'm going to try and roll through most of the beers a little bit quicker than I normally would. But anyway, let's wet the whistle first. As a big month, we had Australia Day in there, which was a big day out at Matty Ursak's, the Wizard. We were planning a brew day. We ended up not brewing in the end. We just ate, drank, chatted. So that's all good. I said I've been on holiday, so that's meant I've had a bit more chance to get through a few more beers. But that being said, the brewery of the month was only 6 beers, not 12. So we've rolled up in a few others. Anyway, let's start with just a couple of beers I've enjoyed over the month that are going to sit outside a couple of little stories. We'll start here. Tumut River Deliverance 22 red IPA, double red IPA. I think this fella sat at 10%, I think. 10.5. It sat in my fridge for ages, and the reason being, I thought it was a basic Deliverance, which I've had before. Wasn't a massive fan of it, so I've just sort of been shuffling around the fridge a little bit. And I stuck it in the box to take down to the cabinet early in January for our holiday break, and so I got a chance to clear out a few beers that have been sort of poking around in the fridge, and some of these fall into that category. And that was one of them. And I hadn't really realised. I pulled it out and went, hang on, this is a fucking 10% beer. This is a big beer. It was quite nice. I gave it 8 out of 10. And yeah, I sort of wished I hadn't left it for so long, but I was glad I did when I actually finally got around to drinking it. It may have been better done fresh, but anyway. Albert Pilsner. This is a German style lager. I think by memories it may have been a Helles. Albert Brewery. I think they're in Tassie. They had a pack with Beer Hug, but I wasn't really looking to buy anything extra at the time. They do all lagers. They're a lager brewery. This is quite nice. 7.5 out of 10. Done all the things you expect from the beer, and didn't let you down. Just didn't really quite get there, but quite alright. Dalgety Brewery's Devil Porter, and again another really nice solid beer, well put together. Had lots of nice flavours. 7.5 out of 10. Just didn't quite tick off into greatness. Black Hops. Can't believe I've written here. Golden Nebula, I think it is, which is a NEPA. It's a limited release. Again, this one's come from Matty. 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, good solid NEPA. Without hitting heights. Sunday Road Soundwave Pale Ale. Another really nice, good, solid, enjoyable beer. There was quite a few good, solid beers. 7.5. I mean, and boy, I said 7.5 for me is a good beer. I've enjoyed it. Certainly nothing in the realms of being wrong with it. Garage Project New Zealand IPA, Liquid Refreshment. This one was called 7.5. Again, solid brew without being outstanding. And the following one, Stoic Kia Ora, a New Zealand IPA. I have had this one before in a Stoic pack. This one snuck in with the beer hug. It's the yearly Christmas pack, which is where the Albert brew come from, and also the Dalgety, and the Sunday Red. While we're at it, bloody. Yeah, the Kia-Ora 7.5 out of 10. Again, these are solid beers, and these were two beers I had on the same day, and I had them on with the third beer, which is one of the Brewery month beers, and it triggered me into the Facebook post around New Zealand hops not really making good IPAs. Caused a bit of a ruckus. It was just a bit of a tongue in cheek. Was like at that point, I had 3 New Zealand IPAs with all New Zealand hops, and not one of them had really set my taste buds on fire. And it was just a bit of a tongue in cheek. It was, I was on holiday, so I was looking stuff to do. It turned a little bit bigger than it was bloody intended to. But anyway, that's not completely uncommon. Some nice beers there. Let's have a couple of beers that just didn't quite hit it for me. Milton Midi from Dangerous Ales, and also the Easy Love Hazy IPA, both from Dangerous Ales down there in Milton. Had these on Brew Day with Steve down there at Ulladulla, and 6.5 on the Midi, 6 on the IPA. Both just lackluster. The Easy Love was just didn't work. The hop combination, the flavours just did not stand. Some people are probably going to find it alright. It's going to suit someone's taste buds, but it didn't taste mine. Also on the same day, the Balta Figuro, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, Figuro Mountain West Coast Pils, which I think is a collaboration between Balta and this, I think they're a brewery in Washington, off the top of my head, could be wrong. But this was just, ordinary, well missed the mark. It was not crisp, it was not bitter. It just, I don't know what it is they're actually trying to achieve with it. And whether they achieved what they wanted to, I don't know, but the beer itself for me was just a complete mess. And the last one, misses for the month, Black Hops Tropic Like It's Hot, which is a fruited sour. And I think again this one come from Matty and was probably floating around a little bit, but yeah, just bit weird. Weird. Wasn't an enjoyable sour, and as much as I quite often talk about sours not really necessarily being enjoyable, but there's a line when they start sneaking back the other way, and this was sneaking back the other way. 6.5 out of 10. On the wrong side of what you're expecting to get. Now, Australia Day out at Matty's, big day. For those who aren't aware, 26th of January, the day apparently everything went to shit for a lot of people in this country, including people that live in, now. Please no comments re Australia Day. The origins or what it means or anything like that. We're not getting into that. Anyway, whatever it was, we got together. We had some brews for the day. Decided that we would make it all imperial. Part of this has been going back to last Australia Day, last year when all the beer monsters got together, and we all bought beers for the day. Matty bought a 4-pack of the Deeds Into the Fray, which was Into the Fray, and then the 3 barrel-aged variations thereof. These are beers that are around the 14.5% mark across the board, and we were gonna. Plan was we'd all drink these on the day. We're only gonna have small amounts of them each, not a problem. The day ended up being like 39 degrees or something. It was bloody stinking hot. No one really wanted to drink Imperial, so it got left over. Me and Matty sat down one day during the middle of the year. We sat here one afternoon, we drank the end of the fray, the base beer. So we're sort of tossing around, well mate, it was time, we've got to get into it and get these drunk. So I said, okay, that's it. Australia Day will be nothing but Imperials. Now, at that point, we were expecting 3 or 4, at least 3 and possibly 4 of the beer monsters to roll up for the day. Turned out it was just me and Matty. So, but that didn't stop us. So the rule was basically nothing under 9%. So really having to go into Imperial territory. Ruled out a few double IPAs we both had floating around. So, that being said, this was our day. We copped a bit of grief online actually about about not having a lot of beers on Australia Day. But when you look at the alcohol content of these brews, and it was only the 2 of us drinking it, was we gave it a fair old nudge. With a whack of we were doing shots, or at least nips of a few spirits along the way. But anyway, the day started with the 612 really big fella, which came from Beer Hug Pack. I'd given it to Matty ages ago. He still had it floating around. This is a double Imperial version of their big fella red IPA. This was, I think, 9.5%. I think this was the smallest beer of the day. And yeah, I think it was this one anyway. Wasn't great. Wasn't bad. 7 out of 10. But it got us rolling along. We followed that up with the Reckless Baltic Porter. This is a really nice drop. I've had this before. Matty's, actually no, I've not had the Baltic before. Matty's had it before, and he bought some more. He wanted to share it. He raved on about how nice it was, and it was nice. 8 out of 10. Really enjoyable. Lots of chocolate and caramel and coffee. All the things you expect to get, all the things that you want to get were all there. Another real nice beer from Reckless. We rolled into the only non-dark beer of the day, which was a Imperial IPA, a double IPA from Cheeky Monkey. Now this is another Beer Hug pack of the year. 7.5 out of 10. It was a nice enough beer, but I was actually quite glad I was sharing it with Matty, because I really wouldn't want to have drunk a whole can of it on my own. It may have been a little bit of a struggle. Just simply because it was quite intense, without having a real huge amount of enjoyable flavour to go along with that. Next brew was, I think at this point we actually might have dropped into one of the first of the deeds. And as I said, these were barrel aged versions of Into the Fray Imperial. And they varied in age, and when we actually checked out, they range from, I think the oldest one was from 2021. It could have even been from, I think by memory, the oldest one was from a 2020 batch of Into the Fray, so it was 2021 when it was canned, because they let them sit for 12 months, and the others sort of ranged in from there. So they had a bit of age on them, but that's, in Imperial you're going to get that. So the first one we started with was To Build a Fire, which was barrel aged, and this was aged with some hazelnut and cacao, and this was really sweet, chocolatey, very dessert beer like. and probably almost warranted an 8.5 out of 10. But the sweetness just got too much in the end. So even with half of us up, so sharing the can only at 220ml each, it was starting to get difficult to drink by the end because of that sweetness. Again, probably not the best. Again, not really the best beers to be having in the middle of summer. It wasn't a hot day, but it was a warm day, and certainly a beer that would have gone much better sitting down in the middle of winter, maybe with a whiskey or a bourbon or a bloody brandy or even just a hot coffee, and sipping with that on the side. But 8 out of 10, really nice. We both enjoyed it. We then went on to we jumped off over to Belgium for a Grand Cru from Valdieu. What do I say? Valdieu? That's how I think you're going to pronounce it. Anyway, so I'm going to pronounce it. Valdieu. And Grand Cru, not the greatest Grand Cru I've ever had, but it was nice enough. And it was only a 375ml bottle. It wasn't a big drink, so we didn't have to force ourselves through it. And again, it was probably another drink that I probably wouldn't have wanted to have been drinking the whole bottle myself. So just didn't have that to go. Anyway, we then went back to the deeds into the Infernal Agreement, which was aged with habaneros, cacao, cinnamon, and might have been vanilla. I can't read the can. The front on the can doesn't show. It couldn't have been bothered fucking looking it up, to be quite truthful, when I was going through this, going back through my records and pulling this out. But 8 out of 10, another really nice version. Just a slight touch of the chili from the habanero, but it sat with the chocolate, and chili and chocolate just works really well. They complement, and the cinnamon, but everything just worked really nicely. Nothing really stood out, but it just all sat together nice. Another 8 out of 10. We then moved. We slipped into Poland for a Imperial Stout from Pinta. This was a really nice beer, really solid, nice mouthfeel, sort of just starting to get heavy without being too thick and too much. Fairly solid coffee with a chocolate background in this one. Was quite nice. 8 out of 10. We had a crack at the Descent 23. Bent spoke. If you aren't aware, there's been an issue with the Bent Spoke Descent 23 this year, barrel aged Imperial, where a lot of the cans have had ropiness. Well, what I believe is ropiness. My understanding is it's ropiness, but it's like it's a thickening and a very gelatinous type feel to the beer, and it gets quite stringy when you pour it. And we've had this issue early on. We've been trying to work our way, trying to find some cans. I took one out hoping we could get a pour out of it, and we got a pour out of it, but it was not easy, and in the end it wasn't worth the effort because it was fucking terrible. It was sour, and so they've had a major fuck up at Bent Spoke with the Descent this year, which is a real shame because it's generally quite a good beer. It's never been a beer I've rated incredibly highly. It's never really had a pinnacle status as far as I was concerned. I don't know, I'd buy it. I've got a can of the 21 still sitting here from a 4-pack I bought. Because again, I'm not really rushing into it because it's not a set the world on fire type of beer. But it was very disappointing to get nothing out of it. It wasn't drinkable. But we tried. That being said, we had a Descent 20. I did have the Descent 21. I did take it with me because Maddie's not had it. Maddie's not actually been able to experience properly a decent, but in the end it was one beer we just didn't get to at the end of the day. We just couldn't get there, and finished the night off with the Desperate Desperate Invocation, I think it was. I've haven't written it real clear here. Cacao, vanilla, simple, fucking yum. This was really nice. This was the beer of the night. I'm not sure I'd say it's the beer of the month. 8.5 out of 10. Really, really nice. Bought the very similar notes of the original Into the Fray and just supported them a little bit more. The Into the Fray was an 8.5 beer for me. May have even been a 9. I certainly rated it high, and I certainly believe that none of these 3 beers were actually quite to the same level as the Into the Fray itself, the base. It was another example of where the barrel aging can actually diminish the overall quality of a beer. But yeah, it was quite nice. That rounded off our day there. I said, so that was a pretty solid effort from the boys. We finished up, I got home, it was just before midnight, so we left Maddie's about 11:30. We'd started at 1 o'clock, well, 1 o'clock we cracked our first drink. So it was a solid session. We returned around the next day, backed up, we went out to Buller Creek, had lunch, and finally got the sample of Little John's Cherry Porter. It's been on tap since I think the first weekend of December. I have not had a chance to get out there, so I was pretty happy to do that finally. I was actually surprisingly pleased with the outcome. It came up better than I thought it was going to, from what we got on brew day and what we got with the cherry additions that we were going. But it's actually come up drinking quite nicely. Some changes on brew day. I mean, it didn't really come up as the beer I wanted, that I planned on brewing, but was still quite a nice drop. And people are enjoying it, which is a good thing. Makes me happy. I guess this is the brewery of the month, which was Behemoth / Sure from New Zealand. And as I said, this was only a 6-pack. These are big beers, they're expensive beers, so well, actually it was a 12-pack. It was 2 cans of each 6. I split it with Matty Hersack when we bought it. And across the board, I've got to say, these as a whole pack were a little on the disappointing side. I said, not cheap. The Behemoth beers are not easy to get, which is why I've never done many of them. The ones I have had from them up until now have been all fairly solid, good beers. But I did notice that this pack, the use by dates were short on some, and some were getting a little bit long in the tooth, especially for IPAs, and they're all IPAs except for either the wheat. So some were definitely suffering, I think, from a little bit of age, with the hops maybe not have been their best. But just overall, I found that hop combinations were not fantastic. Didn't necessarily work for me. So just rolling from no particular, the Wheat and Nerdy, which was a wheat beer, coriander, orange peel, all the normal things, and it delivered just simply a wheat beer with nothing of any interest going on other than just what's meant to be. So as far as hitting the style you go, they've done it reasonably well, but expected a little bit more. Clayton Hops New Zealand IPA. And this is the other beer I was talking about that triggered the comment on Facebook. They raved on the can about how great this was and the hops from these Clayton brothers, who were a hop grower I think in New Zealand. But this beer was just a muddle. The hops just did not work. Yeah, it was just very an average run-of-the-mill, but nothing stand out. Hop Geek, the US IPA, again even a bit lower, didn't work. Was just below what you expect for the style. The malt didn't work, the hops didn't work. Tangerine Dream Brut IPA, same thing, 6.5 out of 10. Just it wasn't dry, it wasn't light bodied, it wasn't crisp, it wasn't bitey, it wasn't the things that a brewed IPA should be. It was soft and round and was fucking some new world bullshit going on. I fucking don't know what the hell it was, but it did not work. Harry and William Hazy IPA. This was a nice drop, 7.5 out of 10. Got back on track, rolling quite nicely, good juice content, and the hops were working in this one. And the last one of the pack was the Hop Rakai Nipa, and again nice. This is probably the juiciest beer I've had from Behemoth, sure. And they do juicy beers, and this was certainly up there, possibly being the juiciest I've had, and certainly up there with some of the juiciest beers I've ever had. But still kept the beer quality, didn't step into that I'm just a fruit juice, or I'm just alcoholic fruit juice type vibe that some of them do. It actually delivered a fruit juicy beer. And if you're drunk in that sort of style, you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that was it. So overall, they averaged out at 7, which is just average. But I said that's a brewery that for me has certainly sat a lot higher than that in the past. And I'm not going to bloody comment on that one way or another. Just how it was. But anyway, that's the beers that were for January 2024. So we're rolling into February. This month's brewery of the month is Three Ravens, and this I think overall is going to be a fairly quiet sort of a beer month. Got a couple of weekends trips away, which are going to put a little bit of a damper on what I'm doing. So yeah, you might be back to a quite quieter, slower, shorter chat next month. But anyway, we need a Patreon draw. I've made him wait till the very bloody end. Gee, that's unlucky, isn't it? Here we go. Who we got here? Dave Hall, who has bloody won absolutely bucket loads. Well, he's won a bit lately anyway. But either way, Dave Hall, you be the winner. I'll have a look at what's there. I'm about to actually sit down and bundle up a bunch of hops for all the patrons that have the prizes that they're still waiting on. But anyway, if you're interested in Patreon, there's a link down the bottom. Patreon, thank you very much for your support. If you subscribe to Little John, thank you. If you're not, hit the bloody button down the bottom there, ring the bell, get notified when there's a new video, all that sort of stuff. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. All these things help the channel out. But anyway, for now, that's me. So till I see you again, I know when we're brewing beer, drinking beer, or talking beer, it's good brewing.